I was born in Kabul, the ancient city and capital of Afghanistan. The people of Kabul have witnessed many ups and downs. The center of power struggles throughout its history, Kabul was prized by many conquerors or invaders due to its geostrategic importance. From Alexander the Great to Mughal King Babur, Kabul was ruled by many different empires. In the second half of the 20th century, Kabul became a hotspot for tourists enjoying the unique Afghan culture, hospitality, and natural beauty of the city. Kabul was a stop on the high trail undertaken by many Europeans. During this time, Kabul gained the nickname of Paris of Central Asia. Despite decades of fighting and war that resumed in 1978 after the pro-communist co-op and the subsequent Soviet invasion in 1979, Kabul was still shining bright, full of life, hope, and happiness. New stylish restaurants, coffee shops, sport facilities, and other recreational places were growing across the city. Due to security threats, it was risky to hang out at such places. But living in Kabul itself came with a certain level of risk. Spending an hour with friends in Kabul coffee shops were the most beautiful moments of my life. I used to visit Kargalik and Paghman Valley, and long road trips to Panjshir province are now the greatest memories of my life. Despite the current difficulties in Kabul, I'm still hopeful that the city will find its glorious times again and become an attractive place for tourists from all over the world. By the time that I was 31 years old, I had experienced the collapse of 4 different governments. I was in the first grade at my school when the Mujahideen government collapsed and the Taliban took over Kabul. My childhood memories are all painted on the canvas of an ongoing war. Even as we were celebrating festive holidays, our family members, friends, and neighbors were dying, getting injured, or leaving the country for safety. Even then, the Taliban began restricting the fundamental freedoms of Afghans, especially women. Women and girls were banned from work, school, and university. Same as now. As a result, my mother, who was a teacher, lost her job. So my family decided to leave Kabul. There was no certainty or permanent place to live. It was serious of moving from one place to another. For a child, this kind of transitions can be really difficult. When I reflect on my childhood, I know the empathy and resilience that were planted by those experiences have grown strong. The reason is that I have cultivated exactly those things. I have let them strengthen me, and now I use these qualities to deal with all other different challenges. Later, the United States-led engagement in Afghanistan in late 2001 brought me an opportunity that would change my life. Like many other Afghans, I went to school. I worked, and I developed new dreams and hopes for myself and for my country. Living in a country that has been in conflict for many years taught me to stand against challenges and never lose hope. I learned that education is the only way to tackle challenges and maintain hope. In the absence of basic services and resources, I seized any opportunity, however limited, to get an education. I was part of a new generation. I survived and I thrived in the war-torn country. I developed a passion for leadership. As many of your predecessors, teachers, family members, or friends have served in Afghanistan over the last 2 decades, so I take this opportunity to say that the Americans' people's support for Afghanistan has not been wasted. A lot have been changed and a lot have been achieved. A new Afghanistan has been emerged. A new generation of leaders has been emerged in the country. Today, I represent them here by sharing my story. I wanted to be a leader to make an impact on the future of my country. I knew that education is the most empowering force to become an effective leader. As JFK said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. When I joined the Afghan Public Service in late 2014, I wanted to be an outstanding policymaker to make an impact and bring a positive change. To do so, I knew I must learn and develop new skills, knowledge, and experiences. I attended several educational programs, including a master's degree in international relations at the University of Afghanistan. I decided to further enhance my knowledge through international education. I worked hard to fulfill the requirements, including enhancing my language skills and obtaining an offer from an international university. Eventually, I studied a master's degree program at the University of Reading in the UK. I enhanced my understanding of contemporary global security issues and learned to analyze them critically. My study journey in the UK was a journey of discovery and growth. Besides the normal academic routine, I was involved in several societies and volunteer activities. Education and continuous learning equipped me with the necessary skills, knowledge, and experiences to become an effective leader. When I completed my studies in the UK, despite my friends and family advice to stay, I returned to Afghanistan. Integrity and keeping my word to return to Kabul were the main reasons of my return to the country. I was passionate about working and contributing to positive change in Afghanistan. Despite all the challenges and risks in the country, I felt determined. Over the years of my work in Afghanistan, I witnessed several bomb blasts and terrorist attacks. In May 2017, a truck bomb exploded near where I was working. I was hurt, but not badly, thank goodness. It was the largest single attack on the city during any period of the war. It felt like a strong earthquake. Smoke, tree leaves, the pieces of iron were raining down from the air. The explosion killed over 150, injured hundreds, destroyed more than 50 vehicles, and damaged several buildings. Because the nearby hospitals were all full, I went to another hospital a little further away. Despite the trauma of surviving an explosion and witnessing such a devastation, I went to work the next day. I had been given a few stitches, but I was still standing. Living honorably is associated with risks. Integrity and having strong moral principles are the defining factors of a leader. Leaders with integrity can have a long-lasting impression. The photo you see on the screen, the first photo is the area where the explosion happened, and the second photo is the place where I was working. I was just sitting there and it suddenly happened. And I forgot for a few moments what was going on. And I really don't remember what I did when I just left this room. I don't remember those moments, how I left and how I went out of that place. I remain passionate about public service and playing a role to bring and influence change in Afghanistan. From May 2020 to August 15, 2021, I was working as the Director of Regional and International Affairs at High Council for National Reconciliation. The Council was leading the peace talks on behalf of the Afghan government with the Taliban. I was responsible for maintaining the organization's diplomatic relations with Kabul-based embassies and international institutions. During this time, I also wrote and published several articles about peace. But we know how that ended. The peace process failed. But my commitment didn't. Being a change maker also means remaining passionate about a cause, no matter how impossible that may seem. A change maker is selfless, persistent, and resilient. A true change maker is driven by a deep sense of purpose and a desire to leave the world a better place than they found it. Apart from my official work, I was involved in several volunteer activities. In November 2019, I was selected from over 500 applicants globally for the 2019 Next Generation Symposium in Washington, which brought 24 academics and professionals working in peace and security from different parts of the world. I was inspired by the knowledge and skills of the program participants. I proposed co-founding a network to have occasional interactions on the topics of mutual interest. Ultimately, we co-founded the Security, Gender, and Development Institute, or SGDI. The SGDI is a volunteer network of international experts producing research and events focused on international security and development topics. Despite their busy lives as professors, government officials, and NGO leaders, the SGDI members have worked voluntarily since February 2020. As the co-founder and director of SGDI, identifying roles, practicing transparency, and continuous engagement through frank, honest, and respectful communication helped me in developing a strong bond with and among the team. There's no doubt that it takes a team to bring about a change or make an impact. Team building is an essential quality of leadership. The key to effective team building is establishing a relationship of trust and loyalty among the team members. What else do we need to adopt and grow into effective leaders? We face a variety of surprises and unforeseen events every day. The majority of them are small, but sometimes they're significant, unpleasant events that have a big impact on our lives and create major difficulties. Ask yourself, what is the worst day at work that you ever have had? On the morning of August 15, 2021, like any other day, I went to office without knowing what may happen on this day. I noticed a big difference in the city. The traffic was more chaotic than usual. There were more vehicles and people on the roads and streets. In the afternoon of the day, everything changed. The president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani, fled the country. The Taliban fighters entered Kabul, and the Afghan government collapsed. After 20 years of stability, Kabul devolved into complete chaos. My world has been turned upside down. I was not prepared. I have never thought of such an event in my life. It was not easy to process what was happening. I couldn't go to my own home. I forgot if I have home or watering my flowers on the balcony which were dried. The first few days of uncertainty after August 15 were about life indeed. No one knew what the Taliban will do with former government officials or those who were opposing them in the last 2 decades. I was feeling like all my life, which I had achieved with a lot of effort over the past 30 years, was burning before my eyes. I was watching as all my hopes and dreams were being killed. I was feeling like Kabul was on fire. Can you imagine what worse could have happened than this? The 15th of August was a result of several internal and external events that have happened in the past 20 years. Whatever the reasons, the Afghans were abandoned. The president of Afghanistan abandoned the Afghan people and the Afghan defense and security forces by fleeing the country. He was always insistent on fighting to the end as the chief of command. Ghani is now known as the opposite of President Zelensky of Ukraine, who stood by his people and defended his country. The United States and other allies abandoned the Afghan people by leaving Afghanistan irresponsibly. We can all remember our American allies emphasizing their commitment to the Afghan people. We trusted those words, and we were counting on them. Several of the US military and diplomatic leaders' recommendations, including the congressionally mandated Afghanistan study group, emphasized that the US has a significant interest in supporting Afghanistan and safeguarding Afghanistan from becoming again a safe haven for terrorists. Despite all of this, a decision was made that ignored all the joint sacrifices of the American and the Afghans and all the joint blood and treasure. The failure was then covered by an evacuation mission. I'm wondering how many did they evacuate? On August 15, I was thinking about an injured Afghan soldier in a hospital, watching everyone leave, but being unable to leave due to his severe wounds on his body. What was he thinking at that moment about his allies? What were the family of American fallen soldiers and veterans who made sacrifices and took life risks were thinking on that day? What was going on the head of an Afghan soldier who trusted his American colleagues but was left behind? It was all abandonment. On August 16, footage showed dozens of people, mostly under 20, running alongside the plane as it taxied along Kabul airport's runway. A number hung on the side of an aircraft just below the wing. Kabul residents witnessed human bodies falling from the sky and crashing onto their cracked roofs like an explosion. Later, the United States Air Force said a C-17 crew decided to depart the airfield as quickly as possible that day because of the worsening security situation. I'm curious if it was the only option. Wasn't there any other better plan to manage and control such situations? It might be a tough question, but it's important to ask ourselves what went wrong and what could be done better. Though tough choices may have to be made, but it's always crucial to uphold human values and ethics. The chaotic and tragic scenes at the Kabul airport after the fall of Kabul to the Taliban are a defining symbol of our giant failure in Afghanistan. The good people in your life become more apparent during difficult times. These are the people who reach out through calls, messages, asking, "How are you doing?" as seemingly simple gestures that carry significant weight. I consider myself fortunate to have such people in my life. When the Kabul collapsed and when it became a breaking news around the world, I received a lot of messages from friends and families from all over the world. They were thinking about me and asking about my situation. That was what I needed at that time. Those simple messages or calls were giving me energy and hope for living. I always recommend that surround yourself with good people who encourage you, who make you feel positive, and who stand by when needed. Life is a collection of experiences with good people. On August 25, I left Afghanistan for an uncertain future. I was asked to bring one backpack. I didn't know what to put in the backpack. Everything I had, it lost its worth. Going to Kabul airport and arriving to the flight zone was like seeing hell in life. I remember the noises from those moments, the voices of kids crying, and the never-ending sound of gunshots. When the plane started flying, my tears for Kabul and for Afghanistan started to fall. I cried for the people whose dreams and hopes were erased. I felt like a generation who was emerged after a lot of difficulties and sacrifices grew old overnight, buried its dreams and hopes next to the graves of its loved ones and fallen soldiers. The immeasurable grief and pain caused by my country's loss may never be healed, but I hope it will, and I'm still here trying. I arrived in Copenhagen in the morning of August 27. It was the most tiring journey all the way to Kabul airport and then arriving until Denmark. When I had a blanket and a bed to sleep, that was all I wanted that day. With all those big dreams for myself and for my country, my hope became limited to just having a bed to sleep. For the first time in my life, I felt homeless. I struggled, I was tired and frustrated. I had to decide how to move forward. As Tony Robbins said, it's our decisions, not our conditions, that ultimately shape the quality of our lives. Life wasn't I expected. Life wasn't what I expected, but I was not giving up. I knew I deserved more and so much more. I decided to get back in the life game and achieve everything I desire. I lived in a refugee camp in Denmark without status for 3 months. I was going on long bike rides around the camp, jogging, reading, and watching movies. I was developing the energy to bring the routine and excitement back to my life. I was thinking about all the things I have to be grateful for. It was very challenging to stay positive in a negative situation. I made a commitment to find the courage to let go of things that I had no control over and maintain a positive mindset. No one is more courageous than the one who healed their own wound by their own. As the 19th century German philosopher famously stated, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Going through difficult times and experiences build us strength for the next possibly more painful event that may happen. Resilience is crucial when it comes to adjusting to significant changes in life, managing through difficult periods, and recovering from traumatic events. Resilience enabled me to cope with the loss, change, and trauma. Resilience helped me to stand up again stronger after meeting life's hurdles and failures. In late November 2021, I moved to Canada. It was the beginning of a new life, starting everything from scratch. I was seeing both challenges and opportunities as a new refugee. Everything from finding a place to live to find a job required a lot of patience. I knew that my future will be the outcome of my today's decisions and efforts. When we acknowledge that nothing is permanent, it frees us to search for new opportunities and help us to advance both personally and professionally. I prioritized my goals. I learned that flexible goals and achieving them with patience is crucial in any aspect of life. A secret to successful goal setting is to have a clear picture of what should be done every day and each day to get closer to achieving the goal. With patience, commitment, and consistency, after 3 months, I found a place to live. After a few months, I had my own bed to sleep. That was all I wanted at that time. After I got home, finding a job was another top priority. It took me over 4 months to find a job. I submitted dozens of applications and attended several job interviews. It was frustrating, and every effort required a lot of energy. But throughout the process, I developed new networks and learned new skills. I took a flexible approach to my job search. I became open to both part-time and full-time jobs and expanded my job categories. I continued my efforts until I received a job offer from the University of Toronto. A positive mindset, continuous efforts, and a never give up attitude are essential to achieving any goal. Martin Luther King said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." I was determined to keep moving forward toward achieving my goals, and having patience helped me to reach them. Patience is like having the wisdom to know that a seed needs time and care to transform into a tree. We live in a complex global environment characterized by rapid changes and unexpected crises. Change is a natural part of life. Fighting a change that you cannot really control is like trying to keep the sun from rising and setting. Adaptability is the only way to face a change. Adapting to unwanted change requires flexible leadership approach. It enables us to survive and thrive in difficult times and in changing environments. Adaptability enables us to respond quickly and effectively to unwanted changes. When we face significant, unexpected changes, instead of focusing on what we have lost, we should focus on what we can gain from these changes. It's important to size up the obstacles, brainstorm some new ideas on how to deal with them, and get help if needed. The key thing is to use the abilities, experiences, and the talent we have to take the opportunities that come our way and to find the right and good people who will support us and be flexible enough to adjust as needed. Again, without flexibility, many wonderful opportunities can pass us by. The river is a good lesson in being able to adjust to change. It goes over rocks, it has ups and downs, but it never gives up. Even if there's something in its way, it will always find a way to keep going. I have had my own struggles in life, but I have been able to handle them and get things back to normal. Resilience, adaptability with a positive mindset, and persistence were the driving forces of the journey. One of the best quotes I have ever heard about this subject is from Rumi. He said, "Very little grows on jagged rocks. Be ground, be crumbled, so wild flowers will come up where you are." In conclusion, adapting to unwanted change in uncertain world is not easy, but it's essential for our growth and success. By staying positive, being proactive, and having a flexible mindset, we can navigate through any obstacles that comes our way. There are many things yet to be accomplished, much more work to be done, and many goals to be achieved. I am not afraid of change, and I will never give up. I will continue to live with integrity and high values. I will take calculated risks and keep moving forward. That's what leadership demands. The beginning is always hard, but once you start moving, no one and nothing can stop you. Thank you.
Mr. Aryan, thank you for your experiences and message today. At this time, I would like to open the floor up to questions. There's a microphone on the left and right side.
Sir, thanks for your story. For those of us have been out there and had experiences and have been in the world outside of where a lot of these folks are sitting today, your story, your experience is very valued. So just know that. I just wanted to ask about your family. Do you have family still in Afghanistan? If so, how are they doing? Can you share about that?
Yeah, thank you so much. So after the collapse of Afghanistan, everyone spread it all over the world. My parents are in Tajikistan. My uncles are still in Afghanistan. I still have family members and friends living in Afghanistan. It's a tough situation for them living under difficult conditions, especially for women and girls who are banned from very basic human rights in the country. And their family members and friends, colleagues, and classmates, and a lot who still live in the country.
Mr. Aryan, thank you again so much for your time today. Your experiences and perspectives speak to how we can reimagine leadership and inspire teamwork. On behalf of the U.S. Air Force Academy and our National Character and Leadership Symposium, please accept this token of our gratitude. The base of this gift is made from marble from our terrazzo, which is significant to all cadets because every freshman here has to run on these strips. We hope you will look on this and remember your NCLS experience fondly.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This concludes our session. We encourage you to stop by our testimonial booth on the south side of the Arnold Hall foyer, where you can record an audio or video review of this session and your overall thoughts on NCLS 2023. Cadets, please check in for the session using the posted QR code. Thank you and have a wonderful day.